Okay, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm live on Twitch right now, by the way, so Twitch chat is probably saying hi to you if they're being good, as I commanded them to. Oh wait, chat down on screen? Hang on. Oh god, I can chat, what the hell am I doing? Oh god, no, everything is awful. I shouldn't have listened, I should have just kept going. Okay, there, that's fine. Alright, we're good, we did it. So, basically, story of what happened, some gentleman sent me the replay and basically asked, did I play well or did the enemy team play like shite? And we're going to watch it and find out. I haven't seen this replay yet, so no idea what's going on, but we're in the T1 Heavy. Tier 5 American heavy tank. Not one of my favourites, but that could well be because I played it very early into my World of Tanks career, where I indeed was a bit shite. Now, frontal armor, I loaded my brain with all this information beforehand. Frontal hull armor, 95.3 millimeters, and then 52.4 with 46 on the rear. 52.4 being at the side. Turret armor wise, you got 177.8 millimeters on the face, 82.6 on the side, and 82.6 on the rear. There's some quirks about the T1 Heavy's hull armor, though, that we should be aware of, and to be honest, it's turret armor as well. If we look at this rather chunky beast of a vehicle, yes, the gun mantle is as thick as it looks. 177.8 millimeters of hull armor, on a tier 5 heavy tank is pleasant. It offers a lot of protection. However, these areas, like just outside the gun mantle, like right there and there, are quite weak. And I believe the roof is something like 25.4 millimeters, as well as the engine deck being very poor. So those are the overmatch zones that you've got to look out for on the T1 Heavy. One thing that's worth noting as well is, like a lot of tier 5 heavies, and I mean a lot of tier 5 heavies, the KV-1's an example that a lot of people don't appreciate. The lower plate of this tank is not the best place to shoot. In fact, if you go for the lower plate, you shoot down here, you're encountering like 177 millimeters and pretty much an auto ricochet in terms of armor. It's really not the place you want to shoot. You can shoot here. This will get you about 90 millimeters, somewhere around there. But if you shoot damn sunlight, if you just shoot high, about here, then you will get about 80 millimeters. So this upper plate right here is actually about the weakest place on the entirety of the front of the vehicle. So we're going to see if the enemy team, if anyone on the enemy team is able to exploit that. Now you've got a 76 millimeter gun right now. 16.67 rounds per minute, got 128 millimeters of standard pen, 177 with premium, and 38 millimeters of pen with HE. That gives you 115 alpha damage, 185 with the HE. You've got 0.43 dispersion at 100 meters, which is not very good for a gun of this caliber, right? 0.43. That's only like 0.03 away from the sort of Russian 122 millimeter dispersion. So accuracy, really not a positive here. It's good to see him aiming at the turret of the Churchill here. One thing he could also be doing, given that the Churchill has a roof that is 20 millimeters thick, he could also be overmatching pretty much anywhere on the top of the turret of that Churchill. So that's another option with this 76 millimeter gun, is overmatching the roof of that Churchill. That said, most Churchill tanks, you always want to be aiming at the turret, regardless. What else was I saying? Aim time of 2 seconds won't be hugely relevant in this environment here. One thing that I'm immediately noticing is I'm looking at the map and considering the balance. What we're going to look at now, what's not spotted? All of the heavy tanks are spotted. What does that tell me immediately? Well, it tells me that, okay, at this point, everything that is in the town has likely been spotted. I don't think at this point that there's any question marks, right? And that's really nice to know when you're playing World of Tanks. It allows you to make more judgments, because at this point you can say, okay, what is on the rest of the map? We got an M10, he's most likely back here. We got a Stug, most likely back here. 2 T-67s, most likely back here. What do we have? We got T-67s sat at the back. It looks like 3 of them we got sat at the back here. They will be overmatched, right? I believe at this point in the game we have a numerical overmatch on the 890 line. Does that bother me? No. Because the majority of our team in the town, right, is well-armoured heavy tanks. I don't believe in the capacity of an M10, a Stoke 4, a T-67, those kind of vehicles to make an assault on base. Right? Even if they come all the way down our 890 line, they kill all our T-67s, are they going to win an attack on base? No. Maybe as part of their heavy tank push, but their heavy tank push is the only reason that works, so we need to focus here on the heavy tanks. Regardless, I'm not worried about what I can't see in this circumstance, I'm worried about what I can in this town. So this is absolutely where we want to be focusing on, and we don't want to consider at this point relocating. That is a filthy shot! What on earth is that? It's not an ARL 44, son. What are you doing? Oh, and that is a lovely overmatch of the engine deck. We will take that. Still, 128mm of pen. You can see he's not got a lot of premium shells loaded. Only 5 shells with that 177mm of APCR pen. Well, note we can see the M10 moving, but with 3 T-67 shooting at him, I think... Oh, okay. Well, let's take a note of the information we just acquired for 3. That SU-2122 just killed the M10. The M10 was there, so we know that one of these tanks is an SU-2122. Good to know. A little bit of additional information that we might not have had otherwise if we weren't being observant. And yes, as Ian points out in chat, this gentleman is using modified config. What a man! Knows how to play as heavy tanks, this guy. Okay, and this is... What is he shooting? Is that the inside track or the outside track? If that's the outside track of that KV-1S, that is a very strange penetration. I'd have to look at that again, because that seems very, very odd indeed. It seems almost irrelevant to mention it at this point, but we're sitting here with 350 meters of view range, which is honestly... it's good tier when you're talking about tier 5 heavy tanks. I mean, it's cool to compare it to a KV-1, because a KV-1 I think has 310 or something like that. BDRs, something like 320. Right? So it certainly is decent. Nothing to complain about there whatsoever. What else can I talk about? Nothing's really happening. So I'm just going to ask Twitch chat. Hey, Twitch... Nothing's going on in this game right now. You want to tell YouTube some jokes? Right? I can see you. Say hi to YouTube. He is quite passive at this point. Base hit points of 910. Oddly enough, 50 below the horsepower of the 2-1 Heavy, which is 960, given a horsepower per ton ratio of 17.32. But now he looks quite aggressive. Now, I'd go for the Stug at this point. I'd poke around and see if I can kill secure the Stug. Right? You got a one-shot tier 5 TD right there. Quick poke, quick kill, then back off. Seems good to me. And you should be able to see the Cupola if you're careful there. But at this point, I'd be applying more aggression. I mean, you don't particularly need to at this point. Looking at it, there's a bit poor awareness there not to consider the Stug. He'd been spotted on the map for the entire time that you were poking around that corner, so you not knowing that he was there is a little, displays a lapse in awareness, certainly. I thought you were the joke, Steve. Ha! 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 Right, so the consideration now, right? You've still got a lot of health, and yes, I would be playing more aggressively at this point, trying to assert myself. The only hesitance I'd have about that right now is the 88, right? The 88 spotting on the corner. We know that is a possibility. A T-67 is occupying this position right now, potentially a Wolverine or something as well. So if I get spotted by the 88, take an unlucky track or engine shot, which is very viable in the T1 Heavy, I could be caught out in the open here and just slaughtered. And at that point, in terms of the balance of this game, is it in the balance? No. So at this point, I consider that worth it. I consider it worth the risk to push forward. What I might have done when I first said about picking up that Stug on the side is I might have said, okay, go around, kill the Stug, fall back behind the cover, wait until I'm unspotted, reverse, get a bit of speed up, and try and dart as quickly as I could across this open land to this corner so that I could do some work on things like this Churchill, who I think is majorly isolated. What we've got to think about immediately when proposing to engage this Churchill is that this guy, who's a T1 Heavy, 35.4 top speed, horsepower per ton, 17.32, really nice, he's going to be able to get up there and be hold down. That would be difficult. So what I would likely do while engaging this Churchill is, if he was on more health, right, the way it is, he's a two-shot, I'm going to be able to put two shots in from this corner before this guy gets into a threatening position. But if this guy was on a lot of health, then instead of stopping here, I'd go to this corner. That means this T1 Heavy can't engage me by poking up here. He'd have to come around here. At that point, he gets killed by my team. So it takes away an option of engagement from this guy while I fight this guy completely isolated. It's about trying to get your opponents and force them to take you on in a one-on-one engagement. It's just basic positioning, but that would be my play at this point. We shall see. What's this guy's name, actually? Oh, Toxic! His name is Toxic. Yeah. What did the green grape say to the purple grape? You gotta believe. Ha! Crossing to kill Church. Kill a good idea, you think? Well, oh! This I wouldn't be doing. Okay, you've got to go for the 88. Go for the 88 and flank. If you stop on this corner, that's a misplay. Yeah. This is a misplay. You are potentially exposing yourself to crossfire from people like this T-67 and the Wolverine. Now, I'm guessing that you're not going to get shot by them, but that's more through luck than judgment, right? So... yeah, I wouldn't have stopped here. I would have pushed all the way around, potentially gone for some track shots on this guy, or used my premium shells to butter through his front. But regardless, I would have gotten out of this area, where I'm very exposed, to engage this guy one-on-one. Okay. Yeah, premium shells, 177mm, 82 front is not going to stand up to that. It's a shame the 82 front used to be better. And we're seeing this good horsepower per ton ratio come into play here. Okay. So I like the positioning on the light side here, to be honest, because it allows less of an angle to come in from here. If you position on the light side, you can see further around here, while exposing yourself less to the other angle. Whereas if you went on this corner, you expose yourself more to this area, if anyone is there. So in this circumstance, moving to the right is actually better, in my opinion. We shall see. Again, you've got a lot of health at this point. Aggression would be viable. And you can see the T-67 the Wolverine has just been spotted up on the other side. So you know that you have no crossfire apart from the 2RT. Right? So at this point you can just plow around the corner and assert yourself. You've still got a load of hit points. Right? These people are distracted by people in front of them and behind them. And yeah, that should have been done much earlier, but it's the right play. Premium shells being loaded here, which seems an interesting decision. There's nothing that inherently requires them, especially given that you're about to have the possibility to... How the fuck did you do that? Okay. You're holding the kill shot and you don't get it, you wanker. Oh, wow. Okay, well, GG. GG. It wasn't a bad game, but the result was entirely more through luck than judgment. No assertiveness on the part of the enemy team. Everyone of a reasonable or average skill level will have a game like this occasionally. You didn't make any massive missteps other than some minor mistakes in positioning. So there was certainly nothing here that's awful, but there's nothing here that's remarkable. You didn't particularly assert yourself over the game, as is your wont when you're a top tier heavy tank. Right? You want to try and dictate yourself a bit more over the game. Generally, as a general rule, if you don't end a game in a tier 10 in a top tier heavy tank on a one shot, you probably could have got more damage and more XP out of that game. Not always, but generally speaking, if you're more than a one shot at the end of the game, there is at some point in that game you could have got more damage just by trading that health. So it's something that's worth considering is when you have health, trade health. So it was both. He played pretty okay and the other team played pretty crap. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Skidder, that's never not a thing, right? There's always a balance. And honestly, these remarkable games that crop up every now and then are just when you hit that perfect balance of your team being bad, but not quite bad enough that the enemy just slaughter you, you know? So it's always an interesting thing. That said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Say hi to Twitch chat. They're all nice, lovely people. I'll leave a link to the Twitch channel in the description. So if you'd like to come over here and join us, you would be most welcome. And yes, I bid you a fond farewell. Okay. Chat, I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna cut the video before you guys can start telling them how evil it is over here. It's like that daycare in Toy Story, right? When they go and it seems all nice, but then they get there and they can't leave.